Well, when you've got the shanks, Ben, you don't really want anyone else seeing them.
Just what you want. From those who are closest to you, everyone telling you look like crap. It just warms the cockles of your heart,
The
doesn't it?
experience was unbelievable. The golf was even better. Ben, I'm sorry you weren't there. Well, I'm not sorry.
Yeah. She's done me yet again. I thought I had her covered there, and she's absolutely stitched me. It was exactly the type of performance you expect of someone who's won a national championship.
I incredibly admire the man. He's cast a long shadow that I think I'm going to be forever chasing.
G'day there, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hooked on Sport, the golf edition. We take a look at all the big stories, the people, the courses, and the issues around South Australian golf. My word, there are some issues around South Australian golf and beyond right now. I'm Ben Hook. I'm joined by Sophie Hilditch, whose expertise and insight makes her the perfect person to wrestle with all of these issues. Let's get into it. Soph, good evening. We are late this week. A bit of illness in the household over there?
Yeah, unfortunately, just come down a little bit sick. I've been pretty full on in my actual day job as a lawyer, and I think I've just been a bit run down and hanging out with nieces and nephews going to daycares. You tend to always pick up all the bugs, which I'm sure you're quite used to with your little one running around.
No, we've got a few bugs going on here at the moment. I thought I was about to succumb today, but I've fought back. Didn't want to miss a conversation with you, so here I am. Hey, am I right in saying that we're about to become 1 decade closer in a couple of days' time?
We are. I saw this in the notes. It said birthday, and I was really hoping you were referring to Molly's 4th birthday.
Well done. Yeah, that was
And I
Monday.
thought that'd be okay to talk about. I'm okay about talking about the 4th birthday, but I'm not okay with talking about my 18 years plus 12 years birthday, which is what I've been referring it to as.
Well, congratulations. I did hear this on the grapevine. I presume there's a large 30th soiree, of which I'm yet to see my invite, so it must have been delayed or pushed back a couple of months. So I look forward to joining you for that and the big celebrations. But congratulations, Soph. Have a great Sunday, is that right?
No, it's on Saturday. Close, though. You're close. And actually, I'm celebrating a 40th birthday on my actual 30th. I'm on a wine tour for someone else.
Nice. Oh, that's a cheap way of getting out of it. Don't have to pay for all the catering and hopefully end up with a couple of gifts along the way. Well, congratulations. Hey, you look very comfortable over there. You seem to have slouched yourself down a little bit. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a different view. Ben, the problem is I have 3 wardrobes. My friend happens to own a rent-a-rack called Better Together on King William Street. She came into my house over the weekend with champagne and a cheese board, and she's gone through my entire wardrobe. And when I set up my table, there is a pile of clothes on this side that just looks so monstrous and horrible that I've had to succumb to just sitting on the floor. So this is actually the floor of my study. I'm quite comfy. I've got a nice little cushion against the wall. But if people see me moving around, it's because I am actually sitting cross-legged currently.
Do not underestimate the level of professionalism here at Hooked on Sport, sitting on the floor because we haven't been around to putting away the clothes. Soph, we like to get into all of these episodes with Sophie Starr.
Yeah, Sophie Starr's a bit of a sad one. It's a bit late and delayed, but I've gone Jessica Bang, who I'm sure our listeners have heard in the news, but she suffered a brain hemorrhage in Thailand, actually preparing for a golf tournament, and sadly passed away last week. She's a Sydney-based golfer. Her first professional win actually came with her mum on the bag earlier this year. We reported on it, actually, and it was the 2026 Ford Women's New South Wales Open Regional Qualifying event. I really just wanted to send on my condolences to her friends and family. She was an amazing, young, inspiring talent. The golfing community has been unbelievable, having a GoFundMe page for her, but also the support that they've reached out to everyone. New South Wales has been brilliant. Golf Australia has been brilliant. But I just wanted to say valet to Jessica Bang.
Well said, Soph. Just unimaginably sad. You could not imagine what her family are dealing with. So, yeah, absolutely. Our thoughts with her family and all of her friends as well, and the professional women's golf community, of course. Crystal Blum, one of our own, Caitlin Pearce, one of our own. I'm sure they've spent time and played with and against and in the same field as Jessica. So, yeah, she is going to be incredibly sadly missed. I have something slightly more uplifting, Soph, as Ben's best for this week. I thought I'd just reference a member of the Glenelg Golf Club who happened to announce his retirement from AFL football last week. It was only about 10 hours after our last recording, mate, so I do feel like this is a little bit long in the tooth as well, but I just want to congratulate Taylor Walker on what has been an incredible AFL career, an icon of the Adelaide Football Club. So if I've got him as the third best player at the club behind Andrew McLeod and Mark Rasciuto, and then I've probably got him as the second biggest identity behind Tony Modra and actually ahead of Eddie Betts. And that's probably a big statement to make. But when you think about Taylor has been with this football club every step of the way, through some amazing highs, through some deep, deep lows, most notably the death of the coach Phil Walsh, who had only appointed him captain of the club just months earlier. The way he led that club through that trauma, the way he led the club to the grand final in 2017. Yes, he'll retire, I presume, without a premiership. They're still in the running, of course, the Crows. But look, I think the football club, the football fans and football in general is going to miss Taylor Walker and everything that he has achieved. And yeah, just want to wish him all the best and hope to see him out there at Glenelg Golf Club a little bit later on. And yeah, maybe he'll be a guest of Hooked on Sport now that he's got a few less commitments, Soph.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him potentially on the Glenelg Golf Club. Maybe we might be able to score an interview with him now that his playing career and he's retiring. But I'm looking forward to actually seeing what the Adelaide Oval will do for him on the Saturday. They've mentioned to come 15 minutes before the game, and I'm definitely going to be there. Maybe a little bit boozy, so I might not remember anything because I've been on a wine tour, but I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
I'll write you down as you'll need a sick note for next Monday when we're trying to record. But normally you'll be kicking that can down the road to Wednesday night as well. Just one more about Tex. And look, he only lives around the corner from me and I see him a bit. And I mean, he doesn't need to be making any effort to be engaging with me, but I have a little jogging course that goes past his house, and occasionally I'll see him out the front, and he is always so effusive. Hooky, he yells out as I'm sort of trudging past 4Ks into a 4.5K run or something like that. So he's just that sort of guy, which I just find admirable. So anyway, I wanted to wish him all the best. There's so much interesting local news going on around South Australia, Soph. I thought I might start with the Sand Greens Championship, which was played at Port Broughton Golf Club. So all of the Port Broughton Golf Club members have come out to put this event on in conjunction with Golf South Australia. It was won by Zach Fielding. He got it done on the second playoff hole over Jared Dalton of Edithburgh. Now, Zach Fielding is from Peterborough, but you probably heard the name. He's a Mount Osmond Simpson Cup player. So we have seen that name a little bit before. So congratulations to Zach. Got it done on the second playoff hole. In the B grade, it was Nathan Gillard of Crystal Brook who took out the title. And the men's Sand Greens competition, runner one. It's a really great event. They do get some really good red hot players, and congratulations to Zach Fielding who takes it out. He was the runner up last year. Not far from Port Broughton, just up the road and around the corner a bit, is the Port Augusta Classic. It was won by Cade Bryant. Wait for this, Soph. He won by 27 strokes in the 54-hole event. Second place was Scott Benbow. So Cade Bryant shot 200 for the 54 holes. Scott Benbow 227. I think he's the captain of the club. And the women's winner was Amy Feltham from Highcombe. He beat Sherry Nicholson by 9 strokes. They got a lot of visitors for this event, the Port Augusta Classic, Soph. I saw there was players from Esperance, from Torquay, from Mildura, so from all over the place. So once again, Port Augusta putting on an incredible event, not just for its members, but for a bunch of visitors as well. Soph, can you tell us what's happened in the Senior Vardens over the last couple of weeks?
Well, the one good thing about me having to delay it to the Monday, Hooky, is we actually have the results from
Yes.
2 Mondays. So, I think this is the thing we should start doing more often, actually, because normally we're talking about the Monday Varden and saying it's just been played, but we have no idea of the scores.
Yeah,
But look,
there's no scores. That you don't even have a field. You just guess. You could probably just go out and say Nick Wake won it, and you're probably going to be right.
you'd be around the mark. He'd be
Yeah.
at least top 3 players every single week. So we could just start playing a guessing game maybe on the Monday night and we can report on it the next Monday. But look, no, you're right. We've had 2 Senior Vardens. So last Monday at Victor Harbour, Se Young Jun from North Adelaide beat Christine Trimmer by 1 in the women's. And you're right, Nick Wake has by 4 won the Varden by 4 from Phil Chapman. And the Monday just been, we have Louise Pike winning by 10 in the women's, and Stuart Capania from the Gums winning over Paul Gregory from the Vines, and James Matson from Glenelg, who were all sitting 5 over. An incredible senior Varden. I actually do like watching the senior Vardens. There's so many good players. I mean, we've played with Nick Wake many of a time. I got the privilege of playing him in the ADF game. And I think it's the first time in a foursomes match, Hooky, I've ever been under the card was with Nick Wake, and it's got nothing to do with me, even though I was hitting 50% of the shots.
I played a foursomes with him in May this year, Soph, and I similarly, was it foursome? Might have been 4-ball. I think I might have played 4-ball with him, and I was a passenger. I was absolutely on the Wake train. He tore the course up at Royal Adelaide. I think we won 5 and 4, and I made no contribution whatsoever. He just beat down 2 blokes all on his own. Phil Chapman, he was only 1 stroke back from those 3 guys who were all 5 over at Glenelg, and then was the runner-up at Victor as well. So Phil Chapman, who, again, another one of the guys that we know very well, legend of the Aston Hills Golf Club up there at Mount Barker, still getting it done, knows how to find his way around a golf course, that's for sure. Hey, I just wanted to share this story that came from Hyacombe, which has been absolutely belted by rain over the last 6-8 weeks. So Bailey Wake is their greenkeeper. He put a lengthy note up about all of the conditions that they've had to deal with. They've received 110 mils of rain in the past week on top of 200 mils through the previous month. So that, is great overall, but they are having some troubles managing the course, using their mechanical sprayers. It's having a little bit of effect of indenting the greens and leaving some tyre marks. So he was just trying to explain all of that. I just reckon Hyacombe is going to be an amazing place to go and play golf as the weather just starts to warm up a bit. I imagine through September they'll probably do some maintenance. October, November, December. I tell you what, if you want to do anything, just have a good fun game of golf, go and see the crew up there at Hyacombe. I reckon that's going to be a great place to play. Their dams are full. It's the first time they've had their dams full in 4 years, so they're going to have plenty of water to be able to utilise when the weather does warm up and the sun starts to beat down. So I reckon that course is just going to look absolutely exquisite as we get towards the summer, and I'm really looking forward to it, which brings me to the point I was going to make, Soph. September for you and I is going to be public golf month. So don't know if we'll get there every Friday, but we're going to try and commit to 9 holes of public golf every Friday throughout September, and then you and I will share our experiences. We wouldn't mind getting to Seacliff, to the Gums, to Regency Park, way down there at North Haven. Just some 9-holers. We won't probably go around twice. We'll just get around once and just get a bit of a feel for it. But I reckon that'll be a lot of fun to experience all of those public courses and just be able to share with our listeners, not just the top end of town that we often like to talk about, in particular with Mt Rushmore and so forth, but just these little courses, 15, 20, 25 bucks to play. It's incredible value. And they're going to be in such good shape now that they've had all of that incredible rainfall over the winter. So I'm really looking forward to having that experience. Let's move on. Let's talk about some other results. Tell me what happened at the Royal Adelaide men's and women's foursomes last weekend.
Yeah, over the weekend, men's and women's foursomes. I mean, Royal Adelaide's had a fair bit of rain, so it was a pretty damp, wet course. Nothing like Hyacombe, but there were definitely lakes and water hazards that Royal Adelaide members had never seen before and were a little bit intimidating off the tee, particularly the 8th hole with all the water on the left coming across where you're trying to land exactly where you're trying to land your tee shot was definitely intimidating. Too intimidating for me. Me and my partner, Sarah, your wife, did not manage to qualify for the women's. I'm a little bit glad that I did not, because Mia Chinner and Poppy Warren, the two young guns, were absolutely incredible. I watched a fair bit of their semi-final as well as their grand final, and they took out some of our Sanderson Cup players in unbelievable fashion, particularly Mia. I hadn't seen her play before. She's incredible, making up and down from everywhere, and the high fives and the fist pumps coming from Poppy were even better to watch than Mia's chipping style. And in the boys, unfortunately, it was Hudson Haynes. Well, not unfortunately, but it was over my partner, Darcy O'Neill, and really Royal Adelaide legend, Billy Cawthorne. But Hudson Haynes and Will Arnold got up in that match, and it was incredible to see. I think they were 3 under, 3-5, and just playing impeccable golf.
Yeah, very good. In fact, I had a walk around with Will Arnold's grandfather, John, today. So I did have a round of golf today at Royal Adelaide, and Yeah, John. I actually filled in John's spot. John's got a crook back, so he was only walking around. But yeah, we had a conversation about Will and Hudson. Gee, Hudson's an impressive young fellow, isn't he? I know he played a bit of pennant golf for Royal Adelaide and then got left out of the squad in the second half of the year, and I was a little bit upset about that. And I reckon I might have identified a future star because, yeah, he is doing a lot right at the moment. I want to take you up to the Riverland, Soph. We've had both the Barmera and the Loxton Club Championships the last weekend after the Berry Club Championships were the week before, so there's plenty going on there at the moment. In Loxton, Josh Goldsworthy has defeated Andrew Hume. Now, Andrew Hume, I reckon, has won about 10 club championships at Loxton. Jimmy, we know from the ADF matches, he's the member of the police force up there and a star golfer. But Josh Goldsworthy, and I've only seen a photo of him. I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely a teenager. He is just an absolute pup. And he's bowled over the great man Andrew Hume. So that's a huge win there at Loxton. In the women, it was Sabine Grine who defeated Sue Pannell. And then over at Barmera, it was Jeannie Kelly who defeated Pat Hamoud. And in the men, it was Doug Johns who got over the line. So Jeannie Kelly, not only has she won the singles, she also won the women's foursomes with Sharon Thomas. So she's going to have some silver at home over there at the Riverland for the next year or so because she's done the double. So while I'm at it, Grange Golf Club has been named as a finalist in the Golf Australia Awards for Excellence for their Get Into Golf program. They call it Chip and Sip. So it's been a remarkable entry program for women into the game, and I just wanted to congratulate them and wish them all the best. They're a finalist. We'd love to see them win it, but that's another amazing achievement for the Grange Golf Club, who are in their centenary at the moment, and one of their dining rooms they've set up as a bit of a history museum, like a temporary pop-up museum. So if you're interested in your golfing history, it might be worth popping into Grange and just having a look at all of their artefacts that celebrate the 100 years. So well done again to the Grange Golf Club.
Yeah, huge congratulations to the Grange Golf Club. I love the name of all these events that they come. Chip and Sip is great. I know the women have got like the Fairways program and Let's Go Clubbing down at Royal Adelaide. There's some absolute crackers out there.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. The marketing slogans, they're all geniuses, these people around the local clubs, aren't they? Right. Soph, let's move on. I do want to talk about Neil Wachtel, who's had a hole-in-one at Thaxted Park on the third hole. So he's going to also go into the running for our Magnum of Robert Oatley wine, and that is thanks to the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron. And I might encourage you just to share our message about our partnership with the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron now.
Yeah, new partner on Hooked on Sport, and I'm sure our listeners are probably not sick of hearing about them because they've already gone down and had a lunch or dinner with a 10% off at the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron. Look, if you haven't, you really should. You don't need to own a boat. You don't need to own a yacht. Trust me, I do not have the funds to own either of those, but I have definitely had a lunch down there. I've actually encouraged a couple of my friends to even go down and have a crack at it, and they're very excited. They've looked it up, seen the views, and the views are stunning. You can speak to them, Hooky.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I mean, I think I might have made this point last week, but you can go and spend a heck of a lot of money and pay an absolute premium to go to one of the restaurants at Holdfast Shores, or, it might be an extra 10-minute drive. You can head to Outer Harbour, Victoria Road, go into the squadron. It's open. They're very happy to see you. Love to welcome members of the public. Overlooking the marina there is spectacular. And if you get the right spot, if you sort of look at the middle finger of the pontoon, there are some incredible multi-million-dollar yachts that you would not believe. I mean, these are some of the wealthy end of town, and they're just beautiful to see, just to have a look at in their own right. There's Indigo, there's French Affair, there's a few others. The other thing that's down there, Soph, one of the boats that you might be interested in, is Brindabella. Now, Brindabella was a former racing yacht in the Sydney Hobart. Must have done 10, 15 Sydney Hobarts, and now that's set up. I think they're in a bit of a state of flux at the moment, but it's supposed to be like a luxury party boat that you can not take out. You obviously got to have someone who knows how to sail this thing, but you can take it out for a Sunday lunch party or an evening party or those sorts of things. So I think that's still to come, but that is more there in the South Australian Yacht Squadron. So I tell you what, you go up on that spectacular waterfront deck, or if you go upstairs and overlook the marina, into Jimmy's Bar. The view is just absolutely spectacular. And as you said, you're 10% off if you put Hooked in your online booking form. My only rival at the new caterers, doing an amazing job. And you know what it's like when you're a new caterer. You want to impress. So, if you get the opportunity, go and see our friends at the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron. Book online, put in Hooked in the gift card section. You get 10% off your final bill. It is absolutely well worth the trip. Soph, we have a bit of a new system this week that I probably should have explained a little bit earlier in the show, but we're going to go double here with Hooked on Sport. We're going to try and segregate out our international stuff from our local stuff. So we're going to get straight in to the point here and go with Mt Rushmore. We're on the Mt Rushmore 7th holes. And then we're going to cut a whole new show that is going to be all about international golf and all of your expertise and insight on what's going on around the globe. And, of course, we'll have a fair bit of focus on live as well. We'll drop that a little bit later in the week. So this is our local show that we're sharing with you today. Soph, tell us what your favourite 4 holes right around South Australia that are the 7th holes on the golf course.
Well, for me, no brainer, bias, but I had to go the 7th hole at Royal Adelaide, a par 3, a big green surrounded by bunkers, slightly raised from the tee block. I reckon it plays maybe 200 metres off the blue tees. It's only about 100 metres from the red tees, but it's incredible. The depth perception from the tee block is actually what I love about it. The green looks tiny, absolutely minuscule, and it's not until you get onto a little slope and as you're walking to the green you can actually see how big it is, and I think it would be one of the biggest greens, if not the biggest green at Royal Adelaide. So I think what they've done with the depth perception there is absolutely unbelievable. I'm then going to the Vines, a short par 4. You can't see the green from the tee block. It looks pretty narrow off the tee, but it does widen out as you hit about a 220 metre shot. I find this green absolutely so hard to read. It's really flat in comparison to all their others, but it still looks like it has a lot of slope. And for some reason, it feels like it should, it looks back to front sloping, but it actually almost runs front to back. And there's a cheeky bunker that runs around the left back side of it, I want to say, and a little grassy mound perfectly placed at the front left, which if you hit your ball into it, you're stuck and you've got a horrible chip shot that just wants to run up the green. I think it's an excellent hole. I'm then going to Mount Osmond, which I can see we might have our first ever repeat in Mount Rushmore, but the 7th hole at Mount Osmond is possibly one of my favourite holes in South Australia. It plays really different off the women's tee than it does off the men's tee. Off the women's tee, if you're a little slightly bigger hitter, you kind of have no other choice but to go for this green. It's a dog leg to the left. You have bunkers all around the left-hand side. You've got 2 bunkers up at the right-hand side of the fairway. You can lay up, but for the women, that layup is only about 130 metres and you're left with about a 100-metre, 90-metre shot. For me, you just have to take a fairway wood or even a long iron at this green. There's a big slope on the right that you can get stuck up on, and there's heaps of rocks, and trust me, I have been there. I've also been on the 8th tee block having to play my next shot, which is awesome. You've got a really lovely view of the city, but it is one of the most terrifying golf shots I've ever had with a 2-tiered green, and it just slopes straight off out of bounds on either side of the green. It's terrifying. It's a little bit longer off the men's, so I feel like my risk reward is a little bit better off the men's tees. My layup doesn't feel as much as, I'm just hitting a short iron off the tee, and you feel a little bit weak when you're doing that, and it just doesn't feel ballsy enough for me. But it's an awesome hole, great for match play. I've actually played in South Australian Amateur at Mount Osmond, and this really was a win or lose hole for most of our matches. And you did choose to dictate what you did off the tee, most of what your opponent did. If they went for the green and you knew they hit the green, you had really no other choice but to do the same. And then I'm going Mount Compass, which is a short par 5 for the women, and I feel like it is a short par 5 for the men as well, but it could be a long par 4.
No such thing as a short par 5 in my language, Soph. They're all long.
Well, this is a dogleg left, another hole that suits me with a little high draw that I hit off the tee, a really little high squirty high draw which I hit off the tee. It's blind. You don't really know where your ball's going to land, but normally you're landing on a downslope and it's running out, which is what makes it a short par 5 for the ladies, but then you're hitting onto a 2-tiered green, which is surrounded by bunkers and it is raised. There's lots of slope on the green. It's a big green, but it is hard to hit when you have a higher club in your hands.
Really good, Soph. Love all of those. Special mention, we left Flagstaff Hill out. I sort of left it out because I thought you might take it on. And now, you've left it out as well. So I do want to put it in. But I've got to be honest with you, there is a lot of amazing seventh holes around South Australia. We are leaving plenty on the cutting room floor. So if I'm going to go with Clare Golf Club, it's a 115-metre par 3. It's got a 50-metre elevation drop. Well, that's what they're telling me. That sounds maybe a little bit too much. Might be closer to 30 or 40 than 50, but it is just such a fun hole. I don't know if you've played it before. There are 4 holes in a row, 4, 5, 6, 7, that are just wonderful at Clare. Lots of elevation change, really interesting, but this is sort of like the final throw where you come from this huge elevated shot. You hit a wedge in the air. It feels like it's in the air for about 15 minutes and plop, it comes down, hopefully somewhere near the green. And it's a pretty basic green, but just the experience of hitting from such an elevated stroke, I think, is a wonderful experience. I've got Mount Osmond in. As you said, I think it is a really clever short par 4 because it always asks you a different question. It's not like, say, Kooyonga 5th, which is a short par 4, but you kind of feel like you either have to ship it or you've got to lay right back. There's nothing in between. Whereas I really feel like at Mount Osmond, you've got the option to play a mid-iron off the tee and have 100 and 110 metres in, try and hit it up into that corner where you might have 70 metres in, or take the green on. So there are all of those options. And then once you get on the green, there's still plenty of fun to be had because you've got that little top elevated spot, sort of like that championship pin placement over on the back right there where it's all elevated up, everything else sloping it across and away. And that actually, so if you wouldn't believe this, it used to be a par 3. So the tee block, very, very similar spot. And the green was about at where sort of like that circular cutout is at the top of the fairway there. That was roughly where the green was. And it was a complete drop off from where that dam was. There was basically just nothing there, cliff face. So they put all of this fill into that land there to create the fairway, and then built that further around to create that par 4. And I think it is just an absolute triumph, one of the best short par 4s in South Australia that was created from kind of nothing. So I really do love the Mount Osmond one, and I'm glad you brought it up, and it was nice to be able to reiterate that. Tea Tree Gully, I've gone to one of their better holes on the front 9. I reckon they've got a couple of crackers on the back 9, but I really wanted to identify this one. Just good, smart play. Bunkers on the left. If you want to take it on, good luck. Otherwise, you can play it a bit more safely to the right and then have that really interesting approach downhill to that green where it is elevated even though it's downhill. There's sort of like a drop-off on the front, then there's a big drop-off on the back. So if you go a little bit too hard at that, you've got a really, really difficult up and down. Love that one. Now, Soph, I have to concede. Last week, when we were doing 6 holes, and I've had all of this in a big, long list, and I copied it out slightly incorrectly. So I missed a hole that I was supposed to be putting in last week, and I added in one that was actually accidentally in my 7th holes list, which was Lady Bay. And Lady Bay was actually a 7th hole, but I put it in my 6th hole list because I just copied it out a little bit incorrectly. So for those who are listening and thinking, I reckon Hooky's talking about the par 5 7th at Lady Bay, because there is no such thing as a par 5 6th. It's a par 3 6th. I apologise, but I did want to recognise the Thaxted Park 6th hole. Now, this is a Neil Crafter design, and you know what I'm like. I'm always impartial to a Neil Crafter design. This is a par 5, Soph, but it is actually a replica of the road hole at St Andrews. And it was basically done because there was a road there. There was a road that ran alongside this hole, and Crafter thought, you know what, let's create something that's a bit of a tribute to it. It's not exactly the same, but it is a big sort of long green, and it has that little pot bunker sort of midway on that left-hand side, the road hole bunker that you remember. And then, of course, if you miss on the right-hand side, you've got the road there. So even though that is a 6th hole, that did belong in last week's show, and Lady Bay 7th hole, that belonged in this week's show, but I accidentally shared it last week. So could you all forgive me for just getting that little error out? I just wanted to rectify that today by making sure that Thaxted Park 6th got in.
Absolute shambles, Hooky. I'm really upset with myself that I forgot the Flagstaff 7th hole. That par 3 is a cracker, but this is shambles. Completely getting the wrong hole And
Yeah.
it's not like the course has had a redesign or anything like that. The 6th and 7th at Lady Bay has been like that for a long time.
You know, I'm talking about this because I've dropped it in our little run sheet here, and I've dropped it in, didn't think about it, and then I'm starting to talk about it in real time, and I'm going, I'm not sure that what I'm talking about is actually right here, but I better just stick with it. We're off to the races. We're deep in this episode. We may as well keep moving. And then it only occurred to me afterwards that, yeah, that was actually a 7th hole that I dragged in as the first one of the next week. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So I apologise to everyone. Yes, that was a mistake. I'm glad that I didn't get any feedback, but I did make a bit of a blue with that one. It was the 7th hole at Lady Bay that I talked about last week, and so the 6th hole, the Thaxted Park, that I did want to talk about last week, but I've got it in for this week. So let's wrap this up with a little game of Who Am I? And we've switched sides this time. You're in charge, and I'm going to try and work out what you're talking about.
I am so excited. Normally, this is where I am sweating. I'm stressed out. I have a Word document already up on my computer. I'm getting ready to type in my answers. But my friends were a little bit worried, and some of the listeners have been talking to me and DMing me and saying, look, I think it's time that Ben started to sweat. And he got the Who Am I, because it is any golf hall within South Australia. And maybe or maybe not. I haven't been nice, and I don't know if you've played this course or not. I'm not sure, but you should have if you haven't. So let's give it a crack, shall we, Hooky?
I'm pretty terrified. I've got to be honest with you, because we did sort of discuss this off air at the end last week. Why don't you do Who Am I this week? You said, yeah, that's fine. Sounds good. And it's only in the last hour I've thought, oh my God, I'm really feeling the pressure about this, because I can see the look on your face when you're going through it. And I'm going to feel just as terrified here, but here we go. I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Here we go. Who am I? I'm a par 4 measuring 359 metres from the men's tee and 285 from the women's tee. For the men,
Okay. Yep.
I'm index number 3, and for the women, index number 10. I'm a dog.
Okay.
We going all right?
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I love these two. I always love these 2 clues, Hooky, because it gives you nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That has helped not a jot, I might add. Good.
I'm a dog leg left par 4.
Okay.
I have a small fairway bunker on the right, which you want to avoid. Lots of golfers will elect to lay up to this bunker at about 180 metres, but will have a slightly longer club in.
Okay. Can I have a go here?
Yep.
I don't think it's right, because I think this hole is a little bit longer, but is this the 6th at Glenelg?
No, incorrect. Good try, though. Good try.
Okay. So the 2nd at Glenelg also dog legs right to left, but that's longer than 360. And I don't reckon it's index 3. Anyway, let's keep going. I'll keep sort of playing around with this as we go.
My fairway slopes right to left, with any ball landing on the left side of the fairway running off into the trees.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking, so we must be in the hills. There is no hole on the western side of town. See, gee, now I'm having to go backwards here, Soph. What was it again? A par 4. Dog leg right to left. If there's a pot bunker on the right that you need to avoid, but if you hit it onto the left side of this fairway, it's heading into the trees. Okay.
My green is 2-tiered, running from right to left. My green is protected by a bunker on the front left of the green. I am on the back 9.
Okay.
Sorry,
Can we just have a quick?
I'm on the front 9.
Oh,
Sorry.
You called me a shambles. What's going on? All right. So I've got a dog leg right to left. It's got to be him. Let me just have a think. Okay. I think I've got it. I reckon I've got it. Is this the 9th hole at Mount Osmond?
It's the 9th hole at Mount Osmond.
Yes. Oh, God. No wonder you don't like that. That is really unpleasant.
It's really horrible.
Because you go on, keep going.
Well, my next few clues start to liven it up a little bit. I was going to say it runs along the boundary of the property, 2 left and your AOB. And hopefully you've got a snack, because the green is one of the furthest spots from the clubhouse.
Nice.
Which is something that I have forgotten to have once, is a snack on board. And my next question was going to be, or statement was going to be, my green has exceptional views of the golf course as well as the city, and I thought that would give it away for sure.
Yeah. No, you did the right thing saving that one for last. But what happens with this? And now I understand it. But you get sort of hung up. You think you've honed in on it, and once you're wrong, you've got to go back to the start. You're thinking, oh God, what was it again? How far was it? What's the index? Is that index 3? That's a surprise to me. Index 3 for the
Well, at
men.
least that's what the website says. I actually was. I was surprised to see it was index 3, but from the men's tee, it's actually quite a long hole, and it's because it's tucked in left. I reckon it makes the dogleg left even more steep and wants to push you out right a little bit. And with those trees on the right-hand side, I don't know about you, but I've been in them many of a time. And that pot bunker is actually horrible. I think it's a great hole. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, I play, and I've been a member there, so I've played 5, 6, 7, 8, and really all of those holes. I mean, 6 probably can, but in my day, because I had that bit of a right to left shape, and when the tee was over on the right-hand side, I found it awkward hitting driver, and I didn't really bother. I'd often just hit 3-wood. So it was 3-wood, then iron, then hybrid. And even the 5th I wouldn't hit driver. And so then by the time you get to the 9th, you just, I've got to hit driver, and you just try and ship driver. But there's so much trouble either side in that hole. The bunker, absolutely, as you said, if you're in there, you're not reaching the green. If you go further right, it's that tree line, and then over on the left is dead. So, well done, Soph. That was good fun. Who's up next week? Do you want to have another go, or
I'm totally having another go. I've had about 5 of these.
All right. Well, that was great fun. Lots to talk about in South Australian golf. This won't be all that you'll hear from Sophie and myself this week, because we are going to get our teeth into everything that is going on in the international golf. Of course, we're right in the middle of the playoffs for the US PGA Tour, and there's plenty going on at Live that we will dissect as well. So that will drop later in the week. So a lot of fun. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Good fun. Thanks, Hooky.